Greetings, everyone. My name's John. I'm wearing a small maroon beanie, and it's time for another album review. Why am I filming this outside? Well, I don't know. I just wanted to. So, let's just get into it. This week's review is on a new Mogwai record, As the Love Continues. As the Love Continues is the 10th studio album from highly regarded post-rock band Mogwai. Mogwai have been making music all the way since 1995, and their debut album, Young Team, from 1997, is still to this day their most critically acclaimed record. Even though this is the third decade that they've been making music, Mogwai has just completely flown under my radar until now. But I can tell that this album definitely has intrigued me to listen to more of their catalog, especially hearing that Young Teams is so highly regarded. Let's start off with the first track. To the bin, my friend, tonight we vacate Earth. To the Bin, my friend starts off quietly, but still with just an entourage of different instruments just all at once. There's a subtle thumping drum, there's a soaring synth, spacey piano chords, persistent cymbals, and about a minute in comes just the loveliest guitar. The song spends a good while developing into this peculiar soundscape that puts you in a trance-like state. And about halfway into the song, the instrumentation just takes off. The more gripping guitar chords drop in, and some really gritty yet beautiful synths too. A true moment of euphoria just right off the bat. And it does it all by sticking to just one simple melodic idea, and it just keeps building into this wonderful experience. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I believe that this first song is almost my favorite from the whole record. Next track, Here We Go Forever. Here We Go Forever starts off with almost like 8-bit sounding beat with some more delicate guitar put over it. The track features kind of like Kanye Runaway-esque vocoded vocals. Just like Runaway, you can't really grasp what's, if anything, being said, and that's not important either. But what's being said is not really important, and it's more just about being drawn into this electronic world of sound. And there are several points where the instrumentation picks up with like gritty guitars and drums. The vocoded vocals just borderline screaming too. Just like the opening track, Here We Go Forever just really puts you in this trance-like state where the music just consumes you. And that's the power of instrumental records like this, is that you really just have the time to let yourself disappear in the sound and just the sonic quality, rather than having to focus on lyrical content. And I think that's a strength that Mogwai executes or exploits well. Next track. Finally, a song I don't have to shorten the name of. Dry Fantasy is a moment of pure serenity. A lot of distorted synths and this spacey reverbed leading piano. And the seamless combination of these piano chords and the synths makes a nice calming sound. And if you had told me C418 had produced this song, I would have believed you. Like, this sounds something of like Excursions or something. And I mean that in the best way possible. This is just, I want to hear this in Minecraft. Let's go to the next track. Richie Sacramento. I know I just said this was an instrumental record, but this track is an exception. You know, you might think it would be jarring to suddenly hear singing in an otherwise instrumental record, but surprisingly this doesn't seem out of place. It sounds very natural instead, actually. Just like a bunch of tracks on this record, Richie Sacramento has a sort of uncanny nostalgia to it. The overall sound seems familiar, despite being something completely new. The lyrics deal with the loss of a loved one, the feeling of being left alone with all but a memory. And to an extent, I think that's the point of this record in general, is that it's dealing with the feelings of loss. But then again, I'm just interpreting here. That's just sort of the conclusion, isn't it? Next track, Drive the Nail. Drive the Nail starts off slowly with intricate guitar chords, and this track really takes its time developing. It takes a whole minute before just even the drums kick in. About 2 minutes in, the instrumentation goes more like heavy to like borderline metal. And those 2 minutes leading up to it, you can just feel how it's gradually building up to this insane moment. And then this track kind of has a quality similar to the Black Country New Road album, where there's a lot of ups and downs, where the song builds, then falls, then it builds up again. And that's exactly what happens in Drive the Nail. And as the track climaxes for the second time, it reaches an even bigger crescendo before just fading out again. And despite its 7-minute runtime, you really just kept at the edge of your seat all the way through this song. Next track, Fuck Off Money. Fuck Off Money featured more vocoded vocals again, but this time it's way different from Here We Go Forever. It reminds me of something off of like 1,000 Suns by Linkin Park. Most underrated record ever, by the way. This track is just the textbook definition of a slow burner. At 3 minutes in, the instrumental really kicks off with an almost like cosmic sound, and it's definitely a favorite cut of mine. Next track, Sealing Granny. Sealing Granny kind of comes out of a left field with a classic 90s indie rock riff all of a sudden. I'm not sure if this track fits in all that well sonically with like everything else on this record, but it's actually a breath of fresh air to hear a borderline banger after hearing all these slow burners all the way leading up to this. So it has that going for it. Next track, Midnight Flit. Midnight Flit sees the brilliant addition of strings to the soundscape. The track immediately makes me think of like a score for some beautiful space exploration movie. I swear if the stars made sounds, it would sound exactly like Midnight Flit. It sounds like the birth of galaxies and the collisions of black holes all in one. The soundtrack to the cosmos, really. Next track, Pad Stains. After the high of Midnight Flit, Pad Stains is just a nice way to calm down. At least the intro. The track kind of develops into the whole soundtrack of the Cosmos shtick again. Pad Stains features some really nice intricate guitar and drums and even subtle vocalizing in the background. About 3.5 minutes in, this track just grows even larger until it goes to an almost megalomaniacal sound. And then it just takes over a minute to fade out again. Next track, Supposedly We Were Nightmares. Supposedly We Were Nightmares takes a more optimistic approach sonically. Soaring guitar chords, bombastic drums, and gleaming synths too. The track doesn't quite have the same developing nature of the rest of this record. It doesn't really go anywhere, but either way, it's a nice send-off to the closing track, which is up next. This What I Want to Do Mom hits you just right in the gut after being so optimistic on the last track. It's amazing how, with nothing but instrumentation, without a single word even being spoken, so many ideas of sadness are being conveyed here. I don't know if it's just the title of this track, but I can't help but think of my own mother who unfortunately passed away last year while listening to this. Perhaps that's why this track hits me so hard. Now you're probably thinking, how the hell am I gonna dig the review out of this depressing hole? And to that I tell you, let's just jump to the conclusion. Mogwai deliver a beautifully crafted, cohesive piece of instrumental music, with just near flawless production all the way through. This record to me has an overarching theme of love and loss. I keep thinking of the word saudade. Saudade is defined as a deep emotional state of nostalgic or profound melancholic longing for an absent something or someone that one cares and loves for. I'm simply amazed about how such a complex emotion and topic can be conveyed almost purely instrumentally. This truly just is an amazing record from start to finish. The only real criticism I have is the sheer length of this record. Towards the end of this record, it seems to drag on a bit. But I think maybe that's more to do with my short attention span rather than it has to do with a poorly paced album. I'll give this album a 9 out of 10. Make sure to tune in next week where I'll be reviewing the new Jack Conman record, Senses Libido. I have a paper script. Bye.